Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Odyssey Esports Season 1 2024. Again, we have two games this week. Caster desk for this week is going to be myself and Claire. Once again, going to be bringing you all two more matches. The matches this week will be Orange OnlyFans versus Beans, and Essence Thieves will be taking on the Sky Splitters. So we're going to start it off with Orange OnlyFans and Beans. They're occupying the two bottom spots of the standings right now. However, Oran's OnlyFans predicament is a little bit brighter than Beans is right now, sitting at 3-2 rather than 0-5.
It is a bit better. I mean, it's just gonna be pretty close, right? Beans, not doing so hot. Haven't done so hot for the past couple of weeks, and it's a bit tough. But for the top four standings, I mean, that's really where we get pretty crazy.
Yeah, and basically how it is right now is every team in our top four, so that's everyone aside from Beans right now, can grab that top spot at the end of the remaining weeks. We have 3 more weeks, including this week, which is about to happen now. And we have Ape at 4-2, Sky Splitters at 4-2, Essence Thieves at 3-3, and Orange OnlyFans at 3-2. So you can see how tight it is here in the standings. And with wins and losses going wherever they end up landing in these next 3 weeks, you could see anyone at the top spot, anyone at the bottom spot, and even Beans is there still playing some of these games to play spoiler for these teams that are looking for these good seeding spots for playoffs.
Beans is just here to have a good time. Is here to cause some issues, just get in there, hopefully secure a win, bump somebody down. But I mean, that's what we're gonna find out today. Can Orange OnlyFans hold off Beans and get to a higher position in this standings? But yeah, the bans to come through here immediately, 3 from each team: Aatrox, Vex, Aurelia, Yorick, Rammus, and Zyra. So trying to really go across the board, get those comfort picks banned out of here, and see what we got going on.
And you have to favor Orange OnlyFans in this matchup. I do want to believe that Beans can pull off a win. They did have a rough game against, I believe it was the Sky Splitters, if my memory serves me correctly, last week. So we'll see if the bounce back is there. Now we're going to see the first 2 picks come through. So it's going to be a blind Mordekaiser for Orange OnlyFans. Remember, this is a buffed Mordekaiser. No more QSS can stop you from putting someone in the death realm. They are stuck with you until either you die, they die, or the time runs out. So this is something that Orange OnlyFans prioritizes highly, and it looks like the response from Beans is going to be the Fiora, and that is actually a matchup that Mordekaiser really does not like.
Like a lot of those top laners, and we see a Gangplank. So maybe it was a fake Mordekaiser top. Maybe that Mordekaiser is heading somewhere else. Maybe the jungle could be mid lane. But I mean, only time will tell. That Fiora, though, a very big comfort pick as the Kog'Maw comes through, and a lot of the matchups Fiora is pretty favored in. A very skill-based matchup most of the time. And actually we're switching up. Things are happening. Things are moving, and the draft has been swapped over.
So we've been bamboozled. The picks are now Orange OnlyFans are the ones that are taking the Fiora into what we assume is going to be the top lane, and Beans is swapped over. So yeah, we have a Gangplank. That's interesting, like Claire mentioned. It could be a mid GP. Again, I'm not familiar enough with these players to know who's actually bringing that out, but what I do remember some GP bans in the past. So maybe this GP has made it through finally, and who knows, this could be maybe the saving grace for Beans to pick up their first win. The Kog'Maw and the Jinx solidifies the scaling in the bot lane. That's usually a matchup of who can be in range of who, and depending on the support matchups, we'll see who's going to have the easier time down there, and we'll analyze that accordingly. But now we see the next bans go through. Morgana, Viego taken away from the side of Beans, and Thresh, Nocturne are going to be the takeaways from Orange OnlyFans as we head into that second pick phase.
It's interesting that we see the Syndra to come out. You don't see it too much. The control mages are a bit more difficult to play in mid and a way to come through, which could... I mean, it's most likely a Hui support. I can imagine that. And this Orange OnlyFans draft is just extremely interesting to me. You see that Jinx on first, a Skarner to come through, actually, which is incredibly exciting, and the Pyke on 5. So it is just going to be Orange OnlyFans to pick with that final counter pick. And it's probably going to be the jungle, one of the agents, one of the champions that's usually in the jungle, which is a Jarvan, yeah. It is to be expected, and I mean, both of these drafts are pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, so that's likely going to be a J4 in the jungle. I do agree with you, Claire. It's going to be Hui, probably in that support role, at least based on the data that we've seen across the recent patches, Hui is just a more popular support than Syndra is. I like the Pyke pick for Beans. It definitely does well against double ranged in the bot lane for Orange OnlyFans. The only problem is I don't know how the interaction will really work with Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw can deal a lot of damage. It's just Pyke typically likes to play with a more aggressive AD carry, so they can still probably find value from Pyke if they land those bone skewers and Hui is out of position, Jinx is out of position. They definitely have the damage to kill, but the synergy there is a little bit off, I would say, when Kog'Maw is more playing for the late game, where Pyke doesn't really excel in the late game. And we'll have to see how it works down there, because I think it's going to be a blowout, honestly, down there. It's either going to be the range of Jinx and Hui is going to triumph here for Orange OnlyFans, or Pyke is going to find all the hooks, all the angles, and it's just going to be kill city down there. So I really think you should pay attention to this bot lane. I'm just going to predict that it's going to be bloody. The Skarner has been picked up by Beans. That's been pretty OP recently. And now we're going to head into game and see how it all unfolds. But pay attention to the bot lane. I'm just making some predictions here. I think this is where a lot of the action is going to happen.
Yeah, and it is going to be that GP mid Mordekaiser top lane, as you were saying, and I'm actually very intrigued. This bot lane from both these sides, this Pyke can roam pretty well, and that Syndra is definitely a target that I'm sure Haya is thinking about trying to gank. But yeah, I mean, we're coming back into this. We've talked about it for the past 8 million weeks. An invade could come out. This level 1 fight may be possible. All 5 members here is just how aggressive does Beans get. They are 0-5. Maybe they're looking for something to catapult them into the lead here, but it's not looking like they're playing too aggressive, and I think we're just going to sit here for the next 45 seconds till we all walk to lane.
And another feature that I want to point out that has been added to the stream. So there on the bottom left of your screen, you should see the chat. I know Talia was just surprised there that her chats have shown up on the screen. So yes, if you chat something, as we might see some action here, it looks like Ajuka and Small PvP are going to back off. But yeah, we can see your chats now. We can interact with you guys if there are some stuff that you want to talk about during dead time. So that is a cool thing that's been added to the stream. I'm excited to see how we like all this. So that's pretty cool. And we're going to get this game underway.
Yeah, I'm just going to hop into this. Unfortunately, the level 1 doesn't come through, but that ward does get placed down. Being able to see where that Skarner is starting. Maybe we'll see this Jarvan just invade across jungle this real fast, but I mean, only time will tell yet again. And this Kog'Maw Pyke, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a their synergy isn't fantastic. But still, I mean, if the Pyke gets fed, it can cause a lot of problems for so many members on that Bean side. I mean, the Syndra, the Jinx, and that Hui are all just... You need to watch out, right? You can't ever be too careful when you're playing such a squidgy champion.
Yeah, the Pyke just has to make sure... Haya just needs to make sure they're not getting poked out by the long range of Hui and Jinx, Zaps. All of the Hui abilities that do damage, you need to watch out for those. And if you're healthy enough, then you can find and engage. But if you're not, let's say Haya takes too much damage, then there really won't be any angles to find those fights. So you can see already, Anna's been chunked out to about 40% HP. It makes it really tough for these angles to work. So they're going to find a hook now. The stun will land if a flash did not come through already. So Haya is now overextended. The flash has to be burned from the Pyke. The exhaust went down. So already we see summoner spells burnt in this bot lane. Like I said, this could get very bloody.
And surprisingly, I mean, I think it does go Bean's favor, but that Hui now is kind of just going to be a sitting duck. You have to watch out for this Skarner. Pretty massive ganks to come out of it, and Skarner at the moment I don't think is too great in the jungle, but I mean, that Fiora's just getting poked down. You still have that parry, so you can just immediately get out of dodge in that fight. And you were referring to it, this Fiora should have a very easy time against this Mordekaiser. This matchup very heavily favored for Ajuka. You can already see that in the CS count. I mean, you're up by 12 and 3 minutes into the game, so you're probably going to be smooth sailing for quite some time. You just need to worry about that Skarner, who ganks can be pretty intense.
And we do see Supbro, who, by the way, is substituting for Orange OnlyFans. And if you are a little bit confused, I think we have the names mixed up here. I think on the blue side is Beans, and on the red side is Orange OnlyFans. But Supro is filling in for Orange OnlyFans here today. That's the only substitution for this game. Everyone else has their main rosters in. I'm looking towards top lane here, but we have to look both ways because Hai has found an angle here. He's going to look for the hook onto Jin, but not going to find it. Those minions are going to step in front right before that Bone Skewer does land. Now Zexus is in trouble, has pushed up a stacked wave here. It's the perfect time for Supro to come in for the gank. The flag and drag lands. Even if Zexus uses the flash, I'm sure a follow flash will come through. There is it. There it's going to be, and that should be the first blood. It will go the way of Ajuka. Excellent start in the top side here for Orange OnlyFans. Is now in the bot side. Things are getting scary. Jin dropping pretty low, but doesn't have to burn any summoner spells. They aren't able to find any kills. Small PP Weave trading heavily onto Snyderman in the mid lane, but it will just be the first kill of the game going there onto the top side, and that's going to be the Fiora with a massive lead up there.
This Fiora is only going to get stronger. I'm a bit worried here for Beans because, I mean, they have some pretty solid champs, but if they don't get a lead on any one of them, this Fiora is just going to take over the game and just split side lane all the time. But a gank to come through,
yeah,
you need to watch out.
Finds the angle. Small PP Weave, though, scatter the weak, buys enough space, and is only able to do a little bit of damage there. So nice evasion there from Small PP Weave, although Snyderman was pretty low. He wasn't really able to follow up on that gank there. And Supro finds a ward in this tri-rush, so the Beans bot lane should be aware of the J-Force presence down here. Look at that CS in the top side. My goodness, 39-6. There is a stacked wave, so Zexus will probably be able to pick up a few of these minions under the turret. Misses a few there, but it's going to be... Yeah, you talked about this earlier, Claire. This is going to be a really tough one here for Beans, and it's going to be a massive problem that they need to somehow try and remedy. I don't really know how they're going to do that because this is a lane that really likes to be a 1 versus 1 lane, and sending multiple people up for Fiora to try and shut her down is only going to be detrimental on the cross map. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough one here up in the top side for Beans.
Not one that I would be looking forward to playing as Zexus. A bit tough, especially picking that Moore to first pick. It's a bit scary, you know? You just gotta hope, pray that Ajuka doesn't pick something that's gonna counter you really hard, and unfortunately, that is just the way the game went this time. But yeah, you can just try. You just do... Your poke is not doing too much to Ajuka. I feel like you're just very happy to collect this wave, sit right on top of this Mord, and just push it into tower time after time and wave after wave. But
Root lands. That was close. We're going to look at the jungle now, though, because the grubs have been attempted to be taken away by Mangalorean, but has been caught by 2 players of Orange OnlyFans, that being Ajuka and Supro. A second kill of the game for the Fiora, and 2 grubs. Actually, all 3 that they're able to grab. A Smite Steal maybe have came through. I thought that maybe Mangalorean had 1, but no, all 3 are going to go the way of Orange OnlyFans, plus a kill onto their jungle. So this is big stuff for them, although the hook does land, and Jin actually isn't tanking the tower. The GP ult not going to be enough to finish it off, and it's a kill for the Jinx. So all across the map right now, Beans, it's a reoccurring theme for them. We got a feel for them. It's not over yet, of course, but it's starting to become worrying all across the map for them.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit tough, and I think that this Jarvan can be quite an issue, especially as the engage and just being able to sustain in those fights, as this Fiora just stat checks this Mordekaiser, and that's your only AP damage on the team. And if this Mord just builds armor, goes in there, is going to be unkillable, and can just peel for the Hui, peel for that Jinx, and peel for the Syndra as a gank comes through.
Yeah, and Zexus is probably just going to die into the Death Realm. He brings Supro, but the 1v1 will be his. J4 will get their first kill of the game. 24 CS to 53. And they are working this top side right now. They've got the grubs, they've got the Fiora, a massive advantage. This will be a big focal point for them in this game. The trades across the map are there. So that's something for Beans. But I think Orange OnlyFans are going to be happy to give up that Infernal Drake for the lead that they've been able to find themselves up here in the top lane.
100%. They are looking incredibly strong on this top side. And looking back at it, I mean, look at Syndra. Take a look mid here. This Pyke might be able to hit a Bone Skewer, and this gank could go through, but it's going to be thwarted by that stun. And, you know, it was a good try. Put in some pressure onto that Syndra. Maybe make Small PP Weave a bit scared, but, I mean, it's still a pretty solid wave. Just Haya trying to be a pest around the map, but it's just not working too well. And Supro, you don't have your R, so not going to be able to chase that Pyke down, but, you know, a good attempt. A good attempt.
That's always the most tilting thing about Pyke is when he's just messing with you in the jungle. You know he's overextended, but then even if you land CC, he's able to get away with that E ability. But now they're looking for the flank here on the bot side. There's no flash for Jin, doing a lot of damage onto Ana, who is dropping dangerously low. Mandalorian's actually going to miss the ultimate there, and Hui's ultimate is going to slow down Haya. For the moment, they're trying to kite away from this one, but there's going to be the slow, but the Super Mega Death Rocket will decimate the Kog'Maw. Maybe with the passive able to trade it back. No, it's going to be 1 HP that Jin will live on. The CC is there for D-Muda, and that will be 2 kills now. Almost 3. They get it. Oh, it's a disaster for Beans down here. They just can't catch a break.
The gank, you know, at the start there, it was a good try, but just the Jarvan Supro being in the area, being that saving grace to come through later into the fight and absolutely turn the tides is the person going to carry them into this late game, and this bot lane's getting stronger, top's getting stronger, jungle's getting stronger. It's kind of a disaster for Beans at the moment. I mean, they have a dragon. That's kind of cool.
Gives them some damage.
It sure does, and they have a lot of damage in their...
Oh, this should just be a solo kill. Ajuka does pop the Grand Challenge, and the Ghost popped. Zexus, fortunately though, good positioning on the wall, is able to avoid Ajuka proccing those vitals for the kill, so able to get away from that one. However, does lose about 60% of his HP in the process, and now with the wave crashing down, Mandalorian is here in the river, so there's no real threat of a dive so far. Zexus does find the pullback, but just doesn't really do enough damage to threaten Fiora. There's Grasp, which is healing her up. She has a Vamp Scepter, and you have a Seeker's Arm Guard, which isn't even your build path that you want to go for right now. So it's just so rough up there. They're looking for a play here towards the Grubs, and they're going to force the flash off of Sliderman, so that should be a big advantage for Orange OnlyFans headed into this potential Grub fight.
Yeah, Zexus needs to watch out. You need to play so safe. You don't have flash, your R is up, but I think if you pull anybody in, maybe if you pull the Hui into your domain, you're gonna win it, but I think everyone else, you'll just get kind of destroyed a little bit, probably. But yeah, I mean, this Mordekaiser's build is not looking great. Pyke is just walking back into mid or bot lane, just maybe looking for anything or just trying to help soak up some XP, get a bit stronger. But across the map, getting the grubs is going to be Supro, playing that supportive role as the sub of the game. The R from this gangplank comes through, gank comes
here. Mandalorian is here though, so they should find the kill on the Jin. This time around, Skarner's ultimate will land, and the X marks the spot, will find the first kill. D-Muda has now been hooked by the Bone Skewer, and the second kill for Pyke will come through and should share the gold with some of his teammates as well. So finally, Beans, they find a successful play down here in the bot side. So this is going to be something that they'll be happy about. Of course, the trade across the map will come through, and Supro will get 6 grubs now for Orange OnlyFans. So they're not too worried about it, and still, it's a Jinx. She won't suffer too much from this, and I don't know if it really fixes the situation that Beans are in, but it is good to see them still going for plays and still finding plays happen. So they need a few more of those to bring themselves back into the game. We'll see if they can use this sort of momentum boost to find anything else.
Yeah, 6 grubs now as that gank bot and that fight bot comes through. And that's a little bit nerve-wracking, I would say, as Fiora's split push is only going to get stronger. You're looking for a gank here, and it's just going to go so well into your favor. Ajuka picks up a 3rd kill. Supro just in the perfect position, the flag and drag right on top of Zexus's head. And you kind of have to let this Mordekaiser keep dying, I think. You can't put any more resources up there. You need to focus on this bot lane that has some resources, you know, going their way, in my opinion. But
that's what they're doing. Here they go. Snyderman is here, but oh well, Jin and D-Muda have not backed off. They do find the fear onto Haya, but the Bone Skewer hasn't really been channeled yet. Jin going to use the flash. Bone Skewer does land into the barrel. He goes. So Haya will sacrifice himself for the team. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but here comes the TP flank from Small PP Weeb, and there's the Unleashed Power, which will seal the fate of Anna Gamer Girl. And she will go into the death row. Mandalorian now, who has joined the party late, has to retreat because now Supro is here as well as a 3 versus 2. The dragon is up. This should be on the menu right now for Orange OnlyFans. They'll look to try and stop that dragon stacking for Beans.
Yeah, gonna pick this one up, it seems. Mandalorian is still alive and can get over that wall. Their vision is on it. There's a control word in the pit, so it is possible to contest it. I'm just not too sure how much they want this second Drake. It is kind of your win condition to maybe get a soul and fight back into this one, but you're going for it. A lot invested, and you do get the Drake.
Yeah, Mandalorian now will keep going. After that play happened, they do get the dragon, so that's something nice, but the fight is going to go the way of Orange Only fans afterwards, so in joins Zexus with the teleport, puts Supro into the death realm. Can Supro survive for the moment? And yes, they can. Flag and Drag will bring him to safety, and the rest of the Orange Only fans crew will finish off that Mordekaiser. And they lose the Drake, but 14-3, 7,000 gold lead at 14 minutes. Not really something you're going to be too upset about. The play is going to continue, though. Haya finds a stun onto D Muda, and there is the death from below to finish it off. But Jin with those rocket launcher range. I'm not talking about the champion Jin. It's Jin playing Jinx. And that is going to be a 1-for-1. So it seems that through all the plays that Beans tries to go for down here, it's Orange OnlyFans bot lane. Shout out to Jin and D Muda. They're able to make it a 1-for-1 in a lot of these cases and really mitigates a lot of their losses down here.
Yeah, it kind of gives them a bit of an advantage, just pulling so many players down, pulling Gangplank, pulling the Skarner all to the bot lane, and still, you know, just making their time kind of useless as long as they get one. But yeah, just still coming deeper into this game. You do have 2 Drakes if you are Beans. This top lane is going a bit rough, you know, it's not great. Mordekaiser, I think, is just going to be going full tank now. It would make a lot of sense just trying to peel for anyone else on your team. You're not going to be doing too much damage, as really all you can do is just try your best. Stay alive, but Haya, what can you make happen? D Muda, a great stun there, and it's just going
to be a little bit out of position. And very out of position now. The Scatter of the Week missed, but there is the Flag and Drag to finish off that kill. And we talked about a messy bot lane, and it seems that it was D Muda and Jin, despite the pressure, who are able to come out on top here. And now you have Pyke, who is in a losing position, and that's never where you want Pyke to be. So there's less support for the Kog'Maw. There's less scaling options for them, and it's just another problem on top of the many problems that Beans have at the moment. And they're going to grab a Rift Herald here off the back of that play. And we'll see where they want to put it. They should try and use this to crack open that mid tower. You see Jin on the bot side able to finish off the one down there. And then after that, they will have much more room to operate and continue to push their advantages.
Is kind of what you need to happen. Just waiting around at this point. Wait, Rift Herald was taken. Fantastic. Great to see. And Jin is just trying to get right on top. Haya, what can you do? And
Mandalorian, though, finds the ultimate, and Jin is out of position there. Death from below finds the kill. And that will be the Jinx caught out of position. So even though you are very ahead, when you are playing a champion like Jinx, who's pretty defenseless without any teammates, you have to be careful, because even though you're ahead, you will still fall victim to catch potential of the other team. And that's exactly what happened to Jin there. Although they still in a fine position, as long as these bounties in the top and the jungle don't fall, I think they're going to be happy with the situation that they have. But they're looking for another pick here. Small PvP going to flash away from that stun. The Bone Skewer just going to be out of range. And they have to be careful now, because there's a lot of members here of Orange OnlyFans converging onto their location. Ajuka is the one inside of the enemy jungle. The other 3 are there. Going to use the Blast Cone, but going to jump into 3 people. You have to be careful. Does have the parry to mitigate some CC, but Anna, with those auto attacks, should be able to do enough damage to finish off the kill. But there's a huge combo there. The Scatter of the Week will be massive. Combine it with Hui's ultimate as well. Supro will jump right in. Anna will try and do as much damage as she can with her passive, with the last bits of her dying breath. But it's not going to be enough. It's Orange OnlyFans still coming out on top in these plays, and they still have a Rift Herald to work with.
They do. Getting those 2 picks really going to open up the rifts. You need to defend so much, but you don't have enough champions on here, and Zexus is the only person not having a full item built quite yet. Everyone else at least having 1, if not 1.5, and what are you going to do in this scenario? You need to find these bounties, get this standing gold that's on the map, but it's just so difficult to do so. You don't have any grubs, you don't have a Rift Herald. Baron is going to be coming up here in a minute. The dragon is coming up in 30 seconds, and you feel like you need to fight that, but I mean, we just saw a team fight break out, and it did not go into your favor.
The nice thing is you're not in jeopardy of losing soul. However, once you start giving these drakes, you know that your chances of a soul are never really going to come to fruition. And that is kind of the last little hope that you can hang on to here for Beans, because after that, you're so far behind. There's good scaling here for Orange OnlyFans. It doesn't really get much better for you. Anna's going to get jumped on here. Supro and Jin, Super Mega Death Rocket combined with the Cataclysm. That's going to be more than enough damage to take her out. And they should use that pick to transition now over towards this Mountain Drake and pick that one up. They are using the Rift Herald mid lane as well to pull some members of Beans over there towards the mid lane, and that should be the secure here unless Mangalorean can find some type of miracle steal. We're going to see if that can happen. Hovering around the back of the pit as a 1v1 sort of happens between Snyderman and Ajuka on the other side of the map. There's going to be the grand challenge. The second Vitals proc. Can he find the third one? No, he cannot, and it's going to be the solo kill there for Snyderman. The Drake will go the way of Orange OnlyFans this time. No smite steal for Mangalorean. They do lose their top laner, though. But at the end of the day, it's not really going to be enough so far. It's still an 8k gold lead.
8k gold lead and the Mountain Soul going, or Mountain Drake, I should say, going over to this Orange OnlyFans team, only getting stronger. This Jarvan only getting more tanky as each one of these dragons falls into their hands. And this map is just littered with these red wards across it and inside this Beans jungle. So you have to be like always be careful whenever you're entering into this. You have to clear those, as Haya is doing right now. And this Baron is up. I mean, I can only imagine Orange OnlyFans wants to go for it. Haya trying to catch a small PP weave out, and it is going to work, but
it's going to be a 1-for-1. And that's going to be it. It's actually a worth trade right now for Beans. They do grab mid laner for support. I think you're willing to trade your Pyke as long as you get another key target. And that's actually going to be the first step of the game for small PP weave. I didn't quite see what the bounty was like, but I'm sure there was a pretty big bounty.
Like 700?
Oh, yeah. So if they can get more of those, we could have a game for ourselves. Remember, yes, the scaling is nice for Orange OnlyFans, but there's still a GP and a Kog'Maw for the side of Beans. So it's possible. We've seen some crazy comebacks happen before, and they just need more plays like that. So they're going to have to try and keep them away from knocking out their tier 2 turrets, catch every wave that they possibly can, and when they are overextended in your jungle, if you have a numbers advantage, continue to go for those plays. That is the game plan right now for Beans, but can they continue to maintain this level of stability without letting it fly out of control? Small PP weave could have been found there, but
I don't
not
really
going to
know
be the case.
what Mangalorean could have done in that position. You're playing tank Skarner, and you're in between turrets, so it makes a lot of sense just to back out. You want to get your farm up, try your best to maybe steal some of the gold that is standing on that Orange OnlyFans side, but no tier 1 turrets have gone down yet for Orange OnlyFans, and that's just helping them push these waves in so far and feel so safe just running everywhere around the rift, going into the jungle, trying to take the Beans camps, maybe take a red buff, try and take a blue buff, but it's just looking really good right now for Orange OnlyFans, and that vision does find Haya, and that's going to be the person you are most, whose position you're most curious about, so it's good stuff there.
I think Orin needs to look for some fights here. They want to group. Now, play is going to be looked for by Haya. With the Bone Skewer, is going to find Demuda, but there's a lot of damage. That's too much for a Pyke to handle. A level 8 Pyke can only handle so much, and a level 12 and level 11 Jin and Jinx are going to be way too much for him as Mangalorean's next on the menu. That was some Jinx resets, and so the Skarner is going to be run down, and a Gamer Girl too, taking lots of damage. The Scatter the Weak plus the Super Mega Death Rocket going to take her down to about 30% HP, and it's actually, I was about to say Orin needs to look for some fights because they're the ones that are ahead. They should look to bury Beans while they have them here in this position, but it's actually Beans that sort of sought out their own demise there in that mid play, and it's probably going to turn into a Baron.
Yeah, it makes some sense, but I feel like waiting for the Baron, try to let that deal some damage, and Demuda on this support way is still getting so much value. A great R here from the Pyke. I don't know if you can turn it too much, and You do find another one, but what else can your team do? Zex is just taking up a lot of damage. Snyderman not being able to find anything, but entirely by mistaken does find one in the numbers. Now being able to be equalized. The respawn's coming in, and a Gamer Girl is coming into the fight, finding a lot of value here and stopping this Baron from being taken.
That's a great play for Beans. They were actually able to stop what I thought was going to be a certain Baron take for them, and they end up turning it around and finding themselves some kills. So D Muda a little bit overextended there in the mid lane. Now we see small PP but that's a pretty tanky Skarner there. That's Scatter of the Week, not doing a whole lot. And Anna's now pushing the mid lane. They should be able to at least chip down this turret a little bit, but that's a 3-person Cataclysm there, and there's really no follow-up. So it's actually going to be Supro that's going to fall there, and small PP almost suffers the same fate. Here's a super mega death rocket, but it's not quite going to do enough there. Snyderman with the movement speed trying to get away from this way, but from downtown, D Muda finds the snipe. We kind of have ourselves a game here, Claire. They're starting to fight their way back, inch by inch, and they're starting to close this gold lead slowly and slowly.
Been at a very consistent minus 7k gold lead for a while here. And Haya, you are in a very odd position. Everyone wants you dead. This Fiora is going to chase you down, and there you go. Kind of popped like a balloon. And this Drake is up. Dragon going to be taken. The Skarner's coming over, though. Mangalorean known. Probably one of the greatest jungle stealers in the world, I would say. So, gotta watch out for that.
Yep, gonna try and steal this one away. That's about all you can really hope for right now. You don't have a numbers advantage, but D Muda knows what's going on here. They're trying to pile as much damage as they possibly can into Mangalorean so that they can get him away from the dragon. Gonna force the flash, and there you go. That will be Mountain Drake number 2. There's a lot of talk, so we're gonna take a look at the chat here. There's a lot of talk about this Hui support. We have a lot of Hui support haters out here. You guys really don't like this pick, eh? Someone said they wanted a whole tournament ban for Hui support. You guys really don't like it that much?
It's not that only Hui support. Everyone has to play Hui support, no matter who you are. I think that would be good.
Well, it seems like the collective agreement is the Hui support is just something people really don't like to play against. And hey, you know what is pretty successful in this game? 5-3 and 15 for D Muda. So that's a pretty impressive scoreline. Has a lot of kills. Also is assisting in a lot of the kills for Oran's Only fans. So doing a pretty good job here, making a good case for why people probably wouldn't want to play against this pick. So honestly, I can see where you're coming from in the chat room, everybody. And let's see what Oran's Only fans can do to try and put Beans away before any crazy comebacks are made. So I talked about fighting. I think they need to work together, just group up, push out that mid wave, and just look for fights because you guys are that much stronger. It's still a 7,000 gold lead. If they can find some 5v5 fights, I'm sure they will become victorious in this game.
The gold lead is being a bit smaller. It's only like 6k now, and this is still the first Baron that's been spawned. It's been like almost 7 minutes now. We have seen an attempt, but it didn't go so well for Oran's Only fans, and it does seem they might be positioning for another one. Supro just trying to farm out this jungle, but you might overstep your welcome as X is just going to push you away from it. The Hui comes through, I think it's more of a mental boom is why the Hui went up there. It's more of a mental just block. Beans cannot get over it.
Yeah. And I want to talk about this gangplank. So Snyderman is 3 items, and very soon these barrels are going to start nuking the Oran's Only fans team. There is a tiny bit of armor, but certainly not enough to keep yourself safe from a late game GP. I think the only armor that I can see right now is the plated steel caps that Supro has bought. So we talk about scaling for both teams. This GP is starting to come online very slowly, actually building towards what I think to be, actually it's not Infinity Edge because Navori Quick Blades are done. So the 4th item is soon to come through as well. So keep your eyes on the GP, but now it's going to be the Baron startup here for Oran's Only fans. They're going to try and get this one out this time, but Jin is caught out here by the Skarner. That's a frontline jinx. That's not what you want. And Mangalorean finds that kill. D Muda forced to flash away. Haya is locked up there in the Cataclysm, and that she's going to drop. So chaos all around the Baron pit. On the other side, we do see a 1v1, and Zexus is going to flash away from Majuka. Does not want to take that fight, but Beans successfully stopped the Baron once again.
Nice. I mean, just great stuff there. Beans, playing from behind, knows what they have to do, and just trying to get onto small PP Weeb, and just not going to be able to happen, but Ajuka on this side lane causing a lot of problems here for this Mordekaiser, and we saw a lot of their skirmishes early, but you see those barrels dealing so much damage, and Snyderman getting a bit creative, trying to get active there, but not quite finding the value you were looking for. Small PPW lives another day, the turret helping out quite a bit, and still, no turrets taken for Beans.
Yeah, they got to start. I think there was a chance there for Ajuka to find the solo kill on his Exus. No flash, but didn't actually pull the trigger there. And they want to work this side lane even more. So if the fights aren't going your way, they're getting a Kog'Maw online, there's a GP online, at least you have this constant in the side lane, which is the Fiora Mordekaiser matchup. And I think right now, Ajuka should look, especially with no flash, look for a solo kill if you can find it and really put the pressure on the bot side there. Right now, Ajuka's in the top side, but if they can find, even if it's small PPW who has teleport to join the Baron play, if they can find some major pressure in the bot side, that will split up Beans a little bit so that they can't work as a collective unit to stop a Baron if Orange OnlyFans moves towards that while the side lane's being pushed. So another strategy that they can look for, because they haven't been able to get that buff yet, despite such a massive lead. And the dragons are even, so Soul isn't really going to be coming into the equation here for at least another 10 minutes. So right now, Beans, they are chilling right now. They have all the stability that they could really ask for at this stage of the game, despite being so far down. And look at that, Snyderman. Oh my goodness, that Jinx. We talked about it. That GP is no joke.
Yeah, this GP is going to deal so much damage here into the late game as we get over this 30-minute mark. Haya still looking for those bone skewers, the cheeky bone skewers, just to find anything, and not gonna happen today. But yeah, just trying to zone off of this Orange OnlyFans side as they get the dragon. They want to get onto this soul point. Zexus is going in, soaking up a lot of damage, and Mandalorian doing the exact same, but you're trying to get yourself just to deal damage, but yeah, it's just not enough damage being dealt from this Kog'Maw is the problem. It's you can peel for as long as possible, but if you don't have enough, Anna Gabriel now finally getting a bit active into this fight, but it's just a bit too late, and all your peel is dead, you're dead, and it's just this support needing to run away, buy some time, let those respawns come through, and try to recontest.
And that's going to be a dead Pyke, and that's going to be all 5 dead. So finally... Oh, wait, what the hell? There's a pentakill?
I'm shocked as well.
I wasn't even paying attention to who was getting these kills, but shout out Small PPW for the pentakill there. 13-1 on the Syndra. I feel like Small PPW has been robbed. We weren't even aware, both of us, that a pentakill was even happening, but we'll give you your flowers here. And now that we've realized at the end of the fight. So shout out Small PPW. Excellent stuff there. Gets the pentakill. Will they turn this into a Baron? They probably should. Now would be the time to pull the trigger here. Remember, there's been some struggles in getting this Baron, but now would be the time to go grab that. Instead, they're going to clear away the jungle monsters, deny a little bit of gold from Beans here, and they'll probably now set up for this dragon, or this Baron. It actually was the dragon to go over for Beans there, so they're on soul point. So this win condition, this soul win condition, is still something that they can look for in the coming minutes when that next Drake does spawn in 3 minutes and 34 seconds. So Beans, despite losing that fight, this is almost a full build GP, which is incredible. It's something that can carry these fights for them. Anna is almost on 3 items, working her way towards that power spike. It's still anyone's game at this point, which is crazy because it's a 10k gold lead. It doesn't really feel like a 10k gold lead at the moment with the way that these fights are going.
Yeah. And something that I would like to bring up, if they do get this Mountain Soul, I think the Skarner is just going to be unkillable. Do you know how much armor you're going to have? Building that Heartsteel, that Sunfire, building more MR, so just a very difficult force to deal with as this Baron is going to be started, and the recontest needs to come through, but they do this so fast.
They do it so fast. Jin has lots of damage now. This Jinx is 3 items. Have to be careful, though. Need to position your ADC away from the potential threats like that Pyke. But this time, 3rd time's a charm. They are going to get the Baron. And will they find themselves a fight? It looks like they're going to do so because Mandalorian says, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to fight. I don't care if it's all 5 of you against me. Let's go till the death. And that's unfortunately the fate for Mandalorian was death. 5 versus 1. The poor Skarner doesn't really have a chance. Let's see what they can get from their first Baron of the game, Claire.
That Skarner going in there was a bit confusing, just into all 5, but this Fiora is such a problem in this jungle. Run away as Exus if possible, buy some time, maybe try and get touched that wave, but, you know, there you go, there you are, and it's all snowballing in the favor of Horns Only fans. Look at this mid push. Look at the side pushes on this top lane and this bot lane. ADC all by yourself, having that range to get those towers, the towers to fall down, the inhibitor turret. There you go. There's that mid inhibitor, and you're trying just to poke all of this. Going for the Nexus turrets now, and the defense needs to come through. Haya to go in, but you're just all going to die. Everyone goes down. Mandalorian back in here, but you're just going to soak up some damage while your base gets destroyed.
Whoa, Snyderman. What was that TP, my friend? I don't know if you saw that, Claire, but Snyderman just started TPing in the middle of the fight to a minion. But yeah, there we go. With that Baron, they finish off the game. So, Beans, honestly, shout out to you guys, because that was a tough situation, right? It really started to fall apart from the get-go. The top lane from the start wasn't a great situation. But despite all the hurdles, despite the deficit, you were able to make it a pretty close game given the circumstances. So shout out Beans. They do fall to 0-6 now, and Orange Only fans will improve to 3-3. And with our next game coming up, which is Essence Thieves versus the Sky Splitters, this could have implications for the standings. If Essence Thieves loses coming up, then they will fall to that 4th position, and Orange Only fans will move up. I do believe there is 1 game difference there because of the buys every week. But again, like we mentioned when the stream began, the standings are very close. Orange Only fans picks up the win, and Beans will yet to find themselves that win. But again, they made it very close. So we will go into a quick break before we head into game number 2. So do not go anywhere. We will bring you right back to some more League of Legends action after a very short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second game of the week, where we have the Essence Thieves taking on the Sky Splitters. And last week, we saw quite the performance from the Essence Thieves. They handed Ape their first game loss. Ape is at 2 losses in the standings. However, one of their losses was via a forfeit. So Essence Thieves last week handed Ape their very first loss, very first Nexus explosion, and it was off the back from an excellent performance across the whole team, especially Sinja on his Akali. So this time around, they're taking on another top team. They have a tough go these last 2 weeks. They're going up against the Sky Splitters, who are coming off a very dominant win against Beans. So Claire, I'm going to kick it to you first. What are we thinking here? These are two very strong teams. Who are you thinking gets the better of who?
You put me on the spot here last week.
Yeah.
Okay, I said Ape, and I was solely mistaken, right? So I'm just not gonna vote for against Essence Thieves anymore. I think Essence Thieves is gonna win. I think it's gonna be a 33-minute game, and I think there's going to be 70 kills.
Wow. A very specific prediction.
Yeah.
But I can't disagree with you. SNCs looked very strong last week. And I think for Sky Splitters, maybe they want to target those carry champions that Sinja can pull out, like the Katarina, like the Akali, and maybe that will weaken the SNC's roster a little bit. But they did look pretty strong all around across all of their lanes. So I think we're in for quite a banger matchup. Let's head into the draft and see what these teams have prepared for us on this fine Sunday evening. We're going to look at the bands that started off, and there we go. So we talked about Sinja's champion pool, and that's exactly what Sky Splitters have targeted. They've taken away the Katarina, they've taken away the Akali, so he's going to have to find himself maybe a different champion, or a different carry champion, or be forced to be playing a different sort of role in that mid lane. But the first pick of the game will be a Sivir blind there for the SNC. It's a very safe pick, so they're not taking too many risks in this draft so far.
Makes a lot of sense seeing the Skarner come through after that Sivir. We saw Skarner last game. It didn't get the value that I think we were waiting for, but that might not be a jungle Skarner. That could be top lane, that could be mid even. Who knows? And then an MF to follow it.
Yeah, and Misfortune, this is not a champion you see very often. Does like to have a lot of crowd control in her composition so she can combine it with bullet time. So for the moment, we see a team fighting composition from Sky Splitters. Let's think about a massive 3-person Skarner ultimate, combine it with the bullet time, and Skarner's just dragging him through the barrage of bullets and so much damage is being applied. That would be the dream combination so far for Sky Splitters. But now we see the next 2 picks coming through for Essence Thieves. It will be a Poppy, a flex pick, could go into multiple different positions. Could be a jungle Poppy, could be a top lane Poppy. Lux as well, could be a support, could be in the mid lane. The third pick on R3 for the Sky Splitters is going to be that Ivern. So potentially we're seeing a top Skarner this time.
Which makes a lot more sense than just Skarner's kit. He's not the greatest jungler. I mean, the ganks are obviously fantastic, but the rest of his kit does not favor him to be in that jungle. But, continuing this with the bans that we're going to get, these final bans, and both of these teams kind of throwing some curveballs on who they want to ban. Banning this Garen, Silas, the Vigar is banned, and the Lysandra to follow it.
Yeah, taking away some control from Sky Splitters. Again, we talk about crowd control, and Misfortune loves to pair with that. So Lysandra would be a pain. You combine the Frozen Tomb with Bullet Time, Vigar as well with the Cage. These could be problematic here for Essence Thieves. We're going to see another Mordekaiser, which is okay. We got word before this game happened that the draft was going to get pretty spicy. So Mordekaiser here, and Skarner, and Ivern. Would this be a mid Mordekaiser, perhaps? We could be looking at a bunch of different options here.
That's definitely the Mordekaiser support. I can feel it, and the Gwen to come through. Just wanting to challenge the Skarner, the Mordekaiser, someone else, and Zed to come through. That's for sure going in mid. But what does Sinjo want to play into the Zed?
Well, Sinja's going to be playing the Zed for
Oh,
Essence Thieves there.
I am just all confused. I am all confused.
That's
Sinja
okay.
is not on the Sky Splitters team. Sinja playing the Zed. Of course, Galio comes through, probably going mid. I mean, this from
There's
Sky Splitters is
probably, maybe, we don't really know, do we? So, Sky Splitters, guys, what's going on with this draft here? You got a whole lot of, you got some top laners, you got some junglers here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a Galio support. And Mordekaiser, okay, but if Mordekaiser's top, then is it Skartamid? Is it Mordekaiser? Okay, here's my final prediction, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to lock it in. It's going to be MF Galio bot lane. It's going to be Skarner top, Mord mid, Ivern jungle. That is my prediction. I'm not sure how well Mord's going to do into a Zed if that is the case. However, yeah, this is quite the spicy draft. We were promised a spicy draft, and it definitely is spicy here, but mostly on the Sky Splitter side, as now we're going to get all the details revealed to us. Whoa! Skarner's support. What do you think about that, Claire?
I think it's very interesting, right? It's the value is going to be pretty tough, but I mean, you do have that engage, and you can just kind of peel for the rest of your team. You were talking about how much this MF relies on some CC to come through, and Skarner has that. So I'm just curious to see like how the laning phase goes out, because I think this Lux and the Sivir is just going to poke you to shreds, and you're not going to be able to get really anything, and you're just going to need to soak up some XP to like level 6 and maybe go somewhere else, but it's going to be pretty difficult. And for the first time in a while, I don't think we're going to see any level 1 action, or even an attempt to get some level 1 action.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 5-point for both teams. I've been exposed in the chat. I know, okay, I was a little bit off with the predictions. Okay, maybe I was way off. I got 1 out of 4. Okay, 25%. So at least it wasn't a 0. All right, I got the Ivern jungle, although that may have been the easiest prediction. So we have ourselves a Gwen Mordekaiser top lane. This is, in my opinion, a Gwen favored lane. It's sort of similar to the Fiora, where there's lots of mobility, there's lots of DPS. It's hard for Mord to lock down Gwen outside of the Death Realm. So I think this is going to be an Essence Thieves favored top lane. You have Galio, which could cause problems for Zed in the one-on-one. However, there's roaming options for Sinja. However, there's also a Galio ultimate, which could follow it. So there's lots of different things we can talk and think about. And Ivern is there for the scaling for Sky Splitters, but they do have a nice scaling bot lane here for Essence Thieves. So all in all, I'm amounting to who won the draft here, and I can't really tell you who did, because I can't hate on the Skarner support just yet when I haven't really seen it in action.
Look at the Skarner go, and the first time in a while I've seen a AP versus AP top lane. You really never see that, just because there's so many good just tanks or AD champs that can go right up in the top lane, but not the case today. And yeah, I mean, looking at both of these comps, it's very difficult to notice like how this game is going to play out and what is really trying to be looked for from both of these teams. Like, how do you want to engage? You want to fight front to back? Would you rather, you know, try to flank if possible? And I mean, only we're gonna have to find out. Obviously, the players might know that we're in this game, but we have no clue.
Yeah, I do actually. So I was talking in just straight lane matchups last time, but now that I'm taking a look at these entire compositions as a unit, I like Essence Thieves composition better because they have more damage, or at least more reliable sources of damage. They have burst from Zed, they have DPS from Gwen and Sivir. When you look at Sky Splitters, they have Misfortune with bullet time, right? But there isn't really a ton of setup for the bullet time. There is Galio ultimate, that's about it. And after that, let's say Sinja blows up Ronnie World, there's like no damage anymore from the side of Sky Splitters, at least no reliable DPS to eat through something like a Gwen or a Poppy. So I think this might be the detriment here, or the downfall for Sky Splitters. If they do find a downfall in this game, it might be their lack of damage.
I would have to agree with that, depending on how like strong this Mordekaiser can get, or how strong this Galio can get in this mid matchup. And it does seem like Guilty Free Soul is having a very good time against the Zed, or at least in the early stages of lane. being able to farm pretty consistently, just getting some poke off. And before those cooldowns get too short for Zed, so or at least so far, it looks pretty solid for Guilty Free Soul. I'm just curious if you are going more of a tank Galio, or if you're trying to get some more damage out, because you do have that Skarner who can obviously go tank. This Ivern's not going to offer too much damage, and depending on which build this Mordekaiser goes. But Sinja, looking really strong here.
And here comes the Poppy. Dazzle's going to try and make something happen, but unfortunately not going to find anything there. I believe Basil is a substitute here for Essence Thieves, so we'll talk substitutions again. That is the only substitution of this game. The rest of the players are on their main roster. Sinja and Basil now looking for Thrasher. Finds the heroic charge onto the wall, and Thrasher's forced to flash away. Here comes Guilty Free Soul with a ton of movement speed, but Sinja from the three-point line finds the swish there with the Shuriken and picks up the first blood gold. It will be traded back, and the block will be there so that Basil can escape. So 1-for-1 for the moment. And I also want to mention to you, Claire, you got some fans in the chat. I don't know if you've been peeking over at it, but Anna is really gassing you up there. So shout out everyone cheering on Claire. You got some fans.
I've been looking at it, haven't been acknowledging it though, because I don't know how to accept a compliment. I think that's very difficult to do. But yeah, we're still getting into this. Some poke has gone through. Mid lane has had some action. Support, or the jungles have gotten there.
Yeah, and Munchman and Phaser pretty even in this top lane. So a lot better for the Mordekaiser this time around. We're not seeing an absolute slam fest like we saw last time. So for all the Mordekaiser fans out there, if any, you're having a better time here. And it's a close game in the first 6 minutes. Now, 6 minutes is not a very long game, but here at Odyssey, things get pretty bloody pretty fast. So to only see 2 kills so far, this is pretty safe. But now that I've said this, of course, the Caster Curse is going to come through. Maybe not. All right, the Death Realm, Munchman able to walk away from that one. And Thrasher is here in the top lane when we look at the minimap, so they could potentially look for something. Munchman does not have flash, so a dive could come through here, and they could look for this kill onto the Gwen. They do not fall victim to the mist because they're both melee champions, but they're actually going to call off that dive, and could see a kill here in the mid lane. Sinja getting very low. The Ignite is dropped here. Deathmark is used, and going to use the Shadow to get right back there. 1 HP. Things are getting very close to finding kills, but not quite.
Yeah, this Poppy is coming through. Could go for a gank here, but the Galio just gonna walk on out of there. But the Ivern is coming through, just throwing some bushes down, and there's a kill onto Sinja from pretty far away for a Galio, but you are not the healthiest member on the Rift, so just gonna get that kill. I'll probably get on out of here. The Dragon is up as this wave is being pushed in so far here from Essence Thieves, and a great opportunity to maybe get into the bot lane and get some scuttles, get some dragons going if you're Essence Thieves.
Yeah, we got some pandemonium in the chat. Everyone's talking about that Galio damage. I know, it's pretty high, isn't it? Got those melee champion base stats there, but we're gonna take a look at the bot side. Kyo, what a play. Brings Mr. Miyagi straight into the tower, and now falling very low. Did use the spell shield to block that rock there, but the Ignite will fall, and that's going to be the kill that Kyo's able to pick up. And Thrasher as well finds the kill onto Talia, and there you have it. 2 kills now for Essence Thieves. We're going to see a 1v1 breakout in the top side. Phaser actually pulled Munchman towards him. That's not the direction you want to go. Basil's there for the assist, so they are able to trade it back. Sinja getting involved in the bot lane, and Guilty Free Soul is hovering as well. We're seeing action on both sides, and it's going to be 1 kill to Essence Thieves and 2 kills over to Sky Splitters off the back of, shout out Kyo, an excellent play there, bringing the Sivir into the tower like that. We're just seeing the tech. The tech is being revealed to us here. After
Live, being the first to experience the tech. This Galio still going in, causing so many problems here for Sinja. You can probably use that Ghost to get out of there, but I mean, you're just soaking an incredible amount of damage. Munchman here just trying to deal some damage as this Gwen, and I mean, both of these top lane champs dealing so much to each other. Just a bloodbath, but the items probably favoring Munchman, I can agree.
And, okay. A little bit of a questionable decision here from Phaser to rush those plated steel caps when you are playing against a magic damage focused champion. We do see the knock up. The keeper's verdict goes through inside the death realm, so Phaser isn't actually knocked back and out of danger. Munchman is now in trouble because Guilty Free Soul has made an impact in the top lane with the ultimate there, and they're able to pick up a kill and trade it back as Phaser did drop in the last play. So using that global ultimate of Galio's to find more advantages here is Sky Splitters, and they are up 5 kills to 2 now, 1.7k gold rather in the lead, and they're going to look towards this dragon now.
The dragon comes up. It's taken like 4 minutes almost after it was originally put up. Guilty Free Soul just walking over, seeing if there could be a sneak out of Basil, and it's just not going to go through. Ocean break to go over to Sky Splitters, and they're immediately looking towards this bot lane.
Oh, Flash. Talia's been grabbed up.
Goodbye, Talia.
Going to be a kill. Yeah, there you go. And now Bullet Time will put a little bit more damage into Mr. Miyagi. Not enough to find the kill, but there you go. Talia falling victim to the Skarner support technology right there. Gonna get dragged over to the rest of the members of Sky Splitters. They find themselves their 6th kill of the game. The CS is still even in the bot side, however, their kills do go the way of Sky Splitters. 2 kills on the Galio as well. Things are looking pretty good for them. And they actually really want these leads because I think what I said about the damage will become a problem as the game goes later on, especially when you have a Sivir that approaches 3-4 items maybe. So you want to get as big of a lead as you possibly can. Sinja is here in the top side, although there's a full HP Mordekaiser. The ult isn't up, but maybe they don't know that. Probably not the best idea to dive, and Sinja will make his way back to the mid lane.
Yeah, and Sinja playing a pretty, abnormal champ, I would say. I don't think we've seen Sinja play Zed yet until today, and it makes a lot of sense. Sinja has, obviously, we've seen what they can do on the Katarina, we've seen what they can do on the Akali, and, being forced onto this 3rd pick. But Zed is a lot different. Can't hyper carry a game as hard as those two can. And I feel like that could be a detriment for this Essence Thieves team.
Yeah, they did rely heavily on the Akali carry last time. It was a nice performance from everyone, but it really was Sinja who was the main carry of that team when they did find that win last week against a Primate Experiment. So this time around, Sinja 1-2, sitting at an even score, even CS line here with the Galio. We'll see if maybe in the mid to late game, when things start to break away from the lane phase and people start to spread out among the side lanes, maybe Sinja can catch out an 80 carry or maybe a lone Ivern in the jungle. Who knows? We'll see how he can navigate that. But finding good poke there with the shadows, able to put Guilty Free Soul down to a threshold of HP that is dangerous when you're playing against Zed. Deathmark plus a few shurikens hit could find that kill there for the Zed. And we see Mordekaiser able to push out this Gwen, but now Thrasher getting involved here in the mid lane. The root is going to land, but they don't really have a lot of damage to threaten Sinja right now. The shields are there to keep the Galio alive, but now we're going to look towards the top lane because Munchman is looking for a 1-versus-1 against Phaser. They do go into the death realm. Nice dodge there onto the decimating smash. Munchman, can you find enough damage to finish off the Mordekaiser? It's so close. Oh my goodness. It doesn't get closer than that, but Phaser for Sky Splitters is able to reign victorious in that epic 1-versus-1.
The top lane matchup going in the way of Phaser, and so is kind of everything else for Sky Splitters. Basil trying to make their way up, maybe collect this top wave, but actually just going to leave it right there. Maybe just see what's going on, see if there is anything to find, any wards up in this top side, and gonna catch Guilty Free Soul walking up to the top lane, but it's just a trade to come through, and so much damage out of this Galio. Look at that.
It is a Lichbane Galio, so building the AP there, and does have Aftershock too. So it's sort of a combination of your build is all damage, and then your runes make you very tanky. As long as you apply crowd control to whoever you're targeting, then you can get those quick stats to keep yourself alive. You do also have damage reduction in your kit as well. So Galio can be deceptively tanky while also kind of making your health bar disappear. So you do have to be careful with this champion, and you have to find the space to keep him at bay. And so Mr. Miyagi's going to try and do that. But now we see a play happening towards the Grubs. Kiyo's going to dig through that wall and get right out of there. But into the fray goes Guilty Free Soul combined with the bullet time.
yeah.
Talia will drop so much damage from the Misfortune. That's the combination you want to look for. And they find the kill on the bot side. But on the top side, the Grubs, it's 4-2 in favor of Essence Thieves after all 6 fall.
Does seem that Ronnie World just building a bunch of lethality, and just that's the majority of the damage you're going to deal is just with that bullet time. So if this Galio can set you up, if this Skarner can set you up, you are absolutely going to shred just whoever happens to end up facing those bullets. So, and I mean, it was a split. We do see 4 Grubs going over to Essence Thieves, not quite getting over that 5 threshold for those mites to spawn, but still a pretty good amount. Can definitely help with Munchman's split pushing.
Oh, Sinja gonna flip back to that shadow and go into the death mark and use the flash to escape the grasp of Keo and Guilty Free Soul. But wait a minute, he's all the way back in the lane and fortunately had enough CDR to use the shadow again to escape. So Sinja is here, Sinja is there, Sinja is everywhere. So that Zed is pretty hard to lock down there if you can't find that initial CC.
Apparently might spawn at 4. My mistake, you know, just used that 5 being the threshold, but that can definitely help quite a bit with just hitting those towers, dealing some extra damage, maybe dodge an extra turret shot or 2.
And there wanted to be more incentive on actually getting the Grubs because a lot of people were smiting away just 1 for XP and then they didn't really care about the rest. So I think some changes were made to try and make them a little bit more valuable. Also desyncing the spawn time with the Dragon too. But Ronnie World, you are in a little bit of a predicament, my friend. You do have reinforcements on the way. Here comes Daisy and here comes Keo with a big fat shield. The ultimate's going to miss, so Basil and the root will miss as well. Going to walk this one off. Talia is getting beat up by this massive tree structure Daisy with a basketball jersey on. Remember, it's the Dunk Master skin. Not going to drop, but who is going to drop is Sinja in the mid lane.
Guilty Free Soul really popping off a clinic here out of the Galio. And it's always just on the lowest of HP to finally secure that one. The Dragon is up, and I can only imagine that this Sky Splitter's team wants to help it. Oh, laser comes through, but so much damage. Mr. Miyagi could absolutely fry here. Just Ronnie World trying to soak up some damage. You have the bullet time, but not going to be able to use it as you go down. And Thrasher trying to peel for the teammate, trying to peel for Keo.
Oh, here's
Basil is going to clean up the fight. And there goes Thrasher. And that should be the Dragon to follow.
Yeah, so it was Sky Splitters that were looking for a play there, but the turnaround for Essence Thieves is great. And Mr. Miyagi gets a big kill onto, I believe it was Ronnie World who gave him so much gold. And you can't count out this Sivir. We haven't talked about it a lot, but Sivir scales really nicely. And once she hits 3-4 items, can be an absolute menace in these fights with the bouncing boomerangs and all these things. But Guilty Free Soul is saying, okay, party's over, get back here. I'm picking up some gold. I'm roaming down from the mid lane. And it could have been a dragon take, but they were a little bit low, and now they've lost their 80 carry. So this Mountain Drake is still up for grabs. So for Sky Splitters, the dream of getting that stacking going and looking towards a soul come around that 30-35 minute mark, that dream is still alive. But there's 2 neutral objectives up right now, the Rift Herald and that Mountain Drake. So maybe a trade comes through, but right now Sky Splitters are focusing towards the Rift Herald.
And they are down 5 gold, but they're still, I mean, not 5 gold, 5 kills, but they're still tied at gold here. And this Galio is just the person I'm almost guaranteed that is just sitting on the most gold for this team. Just Talia getting a great combo off there, but Keo just absorbing all of that damage, having some magic resist in the items, so that does help quite a bit.
Does indeed, yeah. So Lux not gonna be able to find that dream one shot that you want on the Skarner there because of those resistances. You're gonna be looking for someone like Ronnie World here, but we're going to see a TP now, and Keo almost doing a whole ring around the Rosie effect, but does find the pull onto Basil, and here comes Phaser from the top side. Munchman has made their way in as well. It's just an absolute chaotic exchange here, but look at the bullet time. It's massive and just rips through the majority of essences. Mr. Miyagi just barely gets out with his life. Ronnie World takes down Basil, but look at Sinja on the flank, finds that first kill. Now Ronnie World flashing forward, knows he has nowhere nowhere else to go, and he will take 2 with him. He says, there's a Zed behind me. I'm just going to blast through anyone in my way to keep myself away from the Ninja with the Shurikens. Now Sinja in a 1 versus 3 here to try and steal away the Dragon. He does find the Deathmark onto Ronnie World, still has that available. The Shuriken won't land, but the Deathmark will finish off the Misfortune. And I think this Dragon will go the way of Sky Splitters now after quite the messy fight in the river.
And Sincha, maybe if you had a little bit more items, if you played it a little bit differently, you could have gotten 2 there, maybe 3, but only finding the 1 as the Dragon goes the way of Sky Splitters, gonna continue their lead, and I can imagine Kyo's gonna be very pleased getting some more armor and Guilty Free Soul there as well. And Basil, so you're sitting on a ward, going in the laser to come through. Basil
find the stun here, and here comes Kyo to join the party. And Basil, you thought you had it. You found the cancel with Talia's ult, but unfortunately you didn't quite have the horsepower there to punch through the defenses of Sky Splitters, and they pick themselves up another kill. But fortunately, Munchman has time alone here on the top side to knock down this tier 3 turret. Mr. Miyagi, you do have to be careful, but excellent stun, or root rather, from Talia. The light binding able to keep her ADC alive and safe for the moment. Kyo taking some damage on the retreat. It's a fight in the mid lane, and here comes Daisy to join the party. The shield is in. Talia stepped too far forward. The stun does land. She does have to use the flash to keep herself safe, and she'll escape for the moment. Daisy will fall underneath the turret. And these fights, they're getting close. No kills were found, but it's starting. Tensions are starting to mount in this game. It is still Sky Splitters though with the kill advantage. But here comes Ronnie World. Oh my goodness! And was
here
not
goes Ronnie World
in the mid lane there.
Yeah, there goes Ronnie World. Maybe a bit over aggression. Sinja was hiding behind that wall, and some massive damage to come out of the Zed on an isolated target. But getting deeper into this game, I have an extremely important question. Which comp is better than an ARAM?
In an ARAM, well, I have to believe it will be Essence Thieves, right? Because Sivir is just going to perma-clear every wave. So whether they're the aggressors or they're the defenders, that wave clear is going to be a massive advantage for them. We see some trading from both these mid laners in the bot side. They're not going to all in just yet, but yeah, ARAM, I gotta favor the Sivir, right? There's just so much wave clear options.
Yeah, it seems they got the most poke on their team. I mean, Galio's kind of a lot of poke. You do see that Skarner, but besides that, this Galio's just getting so aggressive. Sinja getting caught off guard at all times.
Here's the 1v1 on the top side as well. Munchman wants to find it onto Phaser. This is what we talk about when it comes to a matchup like this. Gwen just has the scaling. Gwen has the advantage come the later portions of the game. And now Guilty Free Soul, forced to run away, does use the flash, but here come the reinforcements. Thrasher's here with the shields, and Sinja now knows that he has to back off. Can't win that 2 versus 1 after using those spells already. And the fight for the mid prio continues for both of these bot lanes. In the mid lane, they're just going to trade clear, and you have to believe Sivir loves that situation where it's just trading back and forth of clearing waves. You can just clear it into abilities and you're happy. So let's look at neutral objective timers though. Baron is now live, has been live for about 1:45 and 2 minutes to go on the Hextech Drake. This is 2 Drakes that Sky Splitters do have. Thrasher trying to speak to those jungle monsters. The jungle whisperer, Ivern Isman, was so rudely interrupted by 2 brutes who just jumped out of the bush and sabotaged him.
Those neutral injectives looking pretty nice now for Essence Thieves, being able to set up down here in this jungle, and you just gotta stop this Galio. Every time we see this Sinja versus Guilty Free Soul, and it seems Guilty Free Soul's a lot more confident in this matchup. We've seen it go the way of the Galio so many times. Phaser trying to fight Munchman. You are a level up, but I'm not too sure what more can you make happen. The Needlework not doing too much damage. Taken to the Shadow Realm, taken to the Domain. And Munchman just avoiding the abilities, all of them sustaining so many attacks. The damage isn't too crazy on either of these champions quite yet, but it's just we're back, you know, to this.
Yeah, they were both kind of afraid. They were both kind of hesitant there to just go for it, right? I feel like that was going to break out into a kill, but they took about half their health, they exchanged some ultimates, and now they revert back to this sitting around the tower now. But Guilty Free Soul is here to ruin the party. He says, hey, that's enough out of you. You can stop playing passive here. I'm ready to start this fight off. And then Sinja's saying, hey, that's my friend. Now I'm getting involved in this play. But back over to the mid lane, we see Talia getting hijacked here by Kiyo's ultimate, and there's the bullet time. Oh my goodness, so much damage does this Misfortune deal when she has the peel to unload there, and that's going to be the double kill. They should be able to find the mid tower and crack open a little bit more of this map, is the Sky Splitters.
And Sinja found 2 in top side, so consolation comes through. This tower is going to go down. I think Sinja found 1 of his own up there, unless no, I think it was already down a little bit earlier, and just the push continues down to this mid lane, and this secondary tower is going to go down, and this dragon's coming up here in 9 seconds, so going to be wanting to set up for that. I mean, the ultimates, yeah, you don't have a lot of your ultimates up at the moment, so I mean, if there's a time to fight this for Essence Thieves, I would say it's right now.
Yeah, that's a good shout. There's no bullet time. That's the most important ultimate for the side of Sky Splitters, is the Misfortune ultimate. Ronnie World needs to get into a good position, find the right moment to use that ability, and if enough members of Essence Thieves are hit with crowd control, then a lot of value can be found and it can be fight winning. But right now, they've decided to reset, have the Sky Splitters, and Essence Thieves have pounced on that opportunity and are able to pick up the 3rd dragon of the game, which is going to be their first and is going to stop that Soul Dream, or at least delay that Soul Dream for Sky Splitters by 5 minutes. So nice pickup from Essence Thieves. They avoided that fight altogether. And remember, there is sort of a ticking clock here. A Sivir can find tons of value the later this game goes, and will be able to do a ton of DPS, more so than the Misfortune if we're not talking bullet time, if we're talking just auto attacks. With those ricocheting boomerangs, they can be very dangerous. So they're just buying themselves more time. And of course, Sinja very strong as well. Does have to fight against Phaser here in the top side for the moment. I think the next thing that both of these teams are going to look for is the Baron, but excellent light binding from Talia will catch Phaser out, and into the Death Realm goes the Lux. So run for your life. There's an angry Tyrant in a suit of armor ready to take you out, but Talia is going to live. She braves the Death Realm and walks out victorious, and now the fight will continue. Thrasher forced to flash over the wall. They're caught out by the Hex Gate, and this is more advantages here for SNCs. They're going to try and chase down Thrasher and maybe look towards this Baron.
Baron will go incredibly hard at the moment for Essence Thieves, being able to crack open these turrets a little bit more. They've been struggling there at the mid lane, but the side lanes have both fallen at this 25-minute mark. And Munchman on this side lane meeting the Galio. And this Galio seems to be everywhere all at once somehow, and it does a lot of damage to Munchman. So much AP, and Munchman only having those Merc Treads to stop that AP from really piercing through them.
Yeah, and that's the way that this lane, or at least this side lane, will go between Guilty Free Soul and Munchman is the Gwen needs to find a situation where she can use Ghost and run down the Galio. And Galio just wants to short trade. You dash in, you punch her in the face, and then you run away. And then you get a good chunk of damage in, and then you do it again. You run in, throw your fists at her, and then run away again. If you find a situation where Gwen can run you down, then the Gwen's going to win the 1 versus 1. So that's the way that that side lane will go. But I do think that we're naturally moving towards a 5 versus 5 situation around the Baron. Both of these teams are positioning around it. They want to look for it. It looks like Guilty Free Soul is migrating over to that side lane once again. Out of necessity, you have to stop Munchman from taking your whole base. It's kind of a slow mid game. It's a very close game. Like, the gold is dead even compared to last game, Claire, which was an absolute, at least from the gold perspectives, a complete blowout. This one is as close as it gets.
And it's been that way for this entire game. We haven't really seen anyone get a lead, and maybe like 1,000 gold at certain points when like fights went one team's way, but overall it's been incredibly close. Just this mid aggression to come through, both of these teams focusing so hard on that as these neutral objectives are up and are going to be coming up, and Sinja trying to get some poke off. It's about almost a half of Phaser's HP. But that's just so much of your combo go through, and this Galio is back. Munchman is needing to respect that, and not wanting to overstep the boundary. You do see 3 members of Sky Splitters over near mid and on this Baron. Keo trying to just clear these wards off, and maybe set up for a Baron of your own, but in this position it's incredibly hard to do. But Sinja is getting active on the top side.
Getting active, into the Death Realm goes Sinja, and Golden will Phaser be for the moment, but the dodges are there. Sinja dipping and dashing everywhere, but can't quite find the damage, and Not enough to take out Phaser. That is the shortcoming of Zed, is once you expend all your damage there, all you are is burst, and there's not much after the spells have been used. A huge 1v1 for Phaser to win, because now Baron is on the cards for Sky Splitters. However, there is still 4 alive. There's a teleport on to Daisy. Look at that. That is some... That's crazy tech right there. Yeah, exactly. But the fight's going to be started off because a route is going to be found by Thrasher onto Basil, who is the jungler here for Essence Thieves and is going to be forced to run away from the pit. So that does mean that Sky Splitters will secure themselves the Baron off the back end of a great 1v1 victory from Phaser. They're able to grab this neutral objective. However, they have lost 2 turrets in the trade.
They did. I mean, Munchman trying to expend all of the resources, and that's bot lane while that Baron is being taken, and Sky Splitter's looking really good into this late game. We've been talking about this Sivir, and it's just going to get stronger, especially if you can get more of these Hextech Drakes. Just imagine how much damage is going to be ricocheting and the pulsating off of those boomerangs. It's going to be pretty scary for a majority of these champs. I mean, Ivern isn't going to really be able to do too much. Gallia is going to be shredded, and then so is that MF, but I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time before we get to that stage, as about 3.5 items are built by Mr. Miyagi. The Drake is being started, and it needs to be contested.
Well, Claire, we've been informed in the chat that your prediction is very close to coming to fruition. A 33-minute game. We're about to pass that 33-minute mark. However, 70 kills we haven't quite achieved just yet. There's going to be... The Lux ultimate will not find the steal onto the dragon, but Munchman is working these side lanes, finding lots of towers here for Essence Thieves and getting them a lot of standing gold on the map. So able to keep them competitive here in the gold department. You actually can see that they have close to a 1,000 gold lead because of a lot of the work they've done in the side lanes. So there has to be some pushback here from Sky Splitters. They got to start now, especially with this Baron. They got to start fighting back here. They got to start getting some towers of their own, even if it means maybe sacking the side lanes and, you know, going ham in the 3 versus 3. They got to start finding something, because right now Essence Thieves is neutralizing pretty well, and Sivir is able to get close to 4 items because of it.
Yeah, it's absolutely... This is the power spike we've been waiting for, we've been looking for, and who's going to step up to it? You need to get that peel off, and I feel like that is the scariest thing now for Essence Thieves, is who can get that peel for this Sivir, and this bot tier 1 is just immediately going to go down. It should have gone down maybe a while ago, but sometimes it takes some time for things to come through and for things to happen, but you have this Baron buff, you need to use it to take this map control, and doing it so well.
Yep, they have priority right now. They are pushing up in the bot lane, trying to knock down this tier 2 turret. There's going to be the ultimate to come through from Talia to try and clear this wave. The Baron empowered minions are very tough to take down, and a lot of damage is being applied to this turret by that empowered cannon minion. You can see it's putting in that work. It's giving in that MVP performance right there, if we're talking just standard minion performance here. Doing about half the health of that turret, and they continue to try and siege. But once again, Sivir, Lux, these are 2 champions that are very difficult to punch through when it comes to a siege. So it's really a tall task here for Sky Splitters when it comes to finding these towers, because there's so many good anti-siege options right now for Essence Thieves. The ultimate from Sivir has been used for safety. Munchman trying to chase down Guilty Free Soul now. Can't quite find the taunt. There's a lot of tension building here. I feel like something crazy is about to happen, and here we go. Into the bot side, we have round 2. This 1 versus 1. The stats were stolen, but this time Sinja is victorious, making sure that last little bit of damage did come through, and the Zed will find the 1 versus 1 kill, although it was very close.
Sinja making it happen. It was a bit nerve-wracking seeing that go through. I was a bit concerned for the Zed, but I mean, had nothing to worry about. Literally nothing to worry about, but I mean, if you look at these timers, those neutral objective timers in the bot right of your screen, those are very, very similar timestamps. And that could absolutely change the game an incredible amount. I would imagine Essence Thieves wanted to go... I mean, you gotta kind of contest both of them, but I would prefer the Soul if I were you. Allowing the Sky Splitters team to get that Hextech Drake would be an absolute disaster, and Basil being a bit sneaky, but sitting on a ward, so...
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a conflict of interest. I want to say not so much for Sky Splitters, but maybe the Essence Thieves. They could think about a Baron for Soul trade, although that really isn't that worth it. If they don't feel that they can contest the Drake at all, maybe they're down a man or something like that, then they can look for that Baron. So we'll see how that plays out in the coming minute here. And yeah, this is going to be sold for Sky Splitters if they can secure it. And Essence Thieves definitely want to prevent that from going through. That's going to be a huge boost in strength here for the Sky Splitters team if they're able to find that. Right now, Munchman is the target, overextended in the side lane, and actually able to take out Ronnie World, who got too close to the lady with the pair of scissors. She just dices into pieces, and now Thrasher's saying, man, this hurts. Get away from me. Get my tanks in front of me so I can deal the damage to finish it off, and Munchman will fall, but it will be a 1-for-1, and we're going to see part 3 of this 1-versus-1 between Phaser and Sinja. This time around, it will not result in any kills. Mr. Miyagi and Basil, though, off the distraction of Munchman in the bot side, able to crack the base of Sky Splitters. That's the power of Sivir's wave clear. They're able to get quickly right up into that top side, but now the play is going to continue. Keo finds the ultimate onto Basil, who is just the tank for the moment. Mr. Miyagi flashing away from the tie, and now the light binding from Talia will land onto Guilty Free Soul, and now Basil has to get out of dodge here, getting hit by 3 different members, and I think that will be the end of this play here. Sinja and Phaser, though, still going at it, and now Phaser, though, gonna get pincer maneuvered here in the jungle, has to run for his life. Where are you gonna go? There's 4 people converging on your location. You can use the shield to try and buy yourself some time, try and deal as much damage to Sinja as you can, but Mr. Miyagi's there for the kill, but now they have to look towards the Dragon Claire.
They need to, and we do see everyone going towards this bot lane. All 4 members trying to get this done before this Essence Thieves team can even approach, and they're not going to do it too fast. That laser beam to come through from the Lux, though, and Basil's on top of it. Do you hit the jungler? No, you hit Geo, and you have to go across, but it's just going to give them the Hextech Soul, and this Baron is still up. You didn't get any value while that's going off. It just took so much of your time, and Sky Splitters is looking so good to close this game out.
Yep, and they find themselves the soul, and that's the prize that they wanted. So the next thing to look for, now that you have this secured, is the Baron. So can you get priority of the Baron? I know it's very hard because Mr. Miyagi is shredding through these waves very quickly, and it's actually going to be Essence Thieves that are going to start this one up. There's no vision right now for Sky Splitters on the Baron. I don't even think they know that this is happening. You guys got to get over because this Baron is dropping so very fast, and they are going to be way too late. I don't even think they knew that it was happening. But Essence Thieves, they complete the trade. It's Baron for Soul. Not at the same time, but it did happen, and in the end, that trade did come through. You do favor Sky Splitters there. Guilty Free Soul was able to finally get that tier 2 down in the bot side, so it's going to be a silver lining there, but the Baron is going to feel nice, at least for the next 3 minutes, for the side of Essence Thieves.
Yeah, and this game could really go the distance here. You know, my prediction of a 33-minute game and 70 kills out of the window, but maybe the 70 kills could still come through. Highly unlikely, but you never know.
Are we going to get round 4 here, Claire? It looks like, okay, round 4. We're going to go for it. So Sinja is saying, all right, I need to wait for cooldowns because I don't have the DPS that you have. They think they're in a 1-versus-1, but out of the Death Realm, Sinja's like, oh, man, are you kidding me? All 5 people hovering around me couldn't even continue the fight. That's going to be a little bit disappointing for the Zed and for the SNCs. Bullet Time, not going to find a whole lot of people there. Going to deal a little bit of damage, but not exactly what Ronnie World may have envisioned there when using that ability. They're going to continue to siege now onto the tier 2 in the top side. They don't have a wave, and Daisy will drop. The next wave is being ushered through, but they have to think about Munchman. I wasn't even looking over there. Munchman is going crazy, munching through these towers like they are a meal. I almost said paper, but that paper is not something you really chew through. Something more like some food there, but Munchman absolutely destroying the side lane, is able to find that inhibitor. Excellent stuff from the Gwen, and a lot of the sieging from Sky Splitters is being thwarted by the pressure that Munchman's applying in the side lane. There's 2 inhibitors down. They're really winning out on the macro right now, so this could be a way for the SNCs to pull off a win despite them being down in the soul and kind of not being as strong in that 5-versus-5s like we've seen.
It is. It's pretty strong. Munchman on this split push, being able to really keep this game on its toes and trying to crack open this last inhibitor turret here in the top lane, but not going to happen at this push at least. And no objectives up for quite some time, and fighting at this stage of the game is a little bit scary. Everyone approaching, building, and scavenging for their 6th item for this final fight. I mean, not everyone is there quite yet, but I think we see this mid laner is trying to get there, bot lane is trying to get there, and top lane is trying to get there, so those are who you need to keep your eyes on.
Right now, Sky Splitters need to find themselves a fight. They need to just find a moment where Essence Thieves are all grouped up together. There's no one being pesky in the side lane, taking all their towers and inhibitors. They need to pull the trigger. They need to find a perfect bullet time to get them 5 dead and maybe push for the end, because otherwise the side lane pressure is simply too strong. FaZe can't really deal with Sinja because all Sinja has to do is delay and clear waves. Munchman can't really be touched by anyone, I don't think. I don't think anyone can fight this Gwen now that the death cap is complete and more magic resist is being built, so both FaZe and Guilty Free Soul will have a harder time taking her down. I think this is going to come down to... I think it's going to come down to whether Sky Splitters can find a 5 versus 5 fight or not, because if they can't, this is just really going to be a side lane to death type of moment. They can't really handle Sinja and Munchman.
Those are just the scariest players. Those are who needs to get you over the line, who needs to peel for Mr. Miyagi. And a fight like wants to break out, but you just got to focus on getting map control, pushing your waves in, and all of that macro play before this final fight comes through. 1 minute and 16 seconds till this Elder spawns in. You want to set up for that, and it does seem that this Essence Thieves team is doing a pretty good job to do so.
And it's so hard for Sky Splitters to get anything going. So I just talked about how they need to find something, but it's so hard because look at Mr. Miyagi, 400 CS now, just makes every wave disappear. What do you even do? You can't push, you can't find any plays. These guys are kind of sitting around like, all right, we got to clear this wave. Oh, top wave's pushing in, we got to go clear top wave. Oh, mid lane's pushing in, now we got to go clear mid wave. Oh, now top lane's coming back. It's like they're in a ring around the rosy type of situation, and I guess Elder Soul, or the threat of the Elder Drake, is going to break this cycle of side lane pressure. But look at Munchman again at the top of the minimap right there, is going to draw FaZe back. And if Munchman can find the kill in the 1v1, this is going to be problematic. Going to find that tower, and there's really nothing FaZe can do to stop Munchman from taking this inhibitor. That's going to be 3 inhibitors down and 2 super minions pushing into their base at one time, and into the Zonias goes FaZe, but Munchman still has a little bit of damage left. Munchman has the Zonias of his own. The Elder Dragon is alive, but there is an ensuing fight here in the mid lane. Light Binding does land from Talia. Mr. Miyagi finds the kill. Someone's TPing onto Daisy. I think it's going to be FaZe. The first kills have been found. Guilty Free Soul is flashing forward. Mr. Miyagi running for his life. That Immortal Shield, but won't do enough. Sinja has to flash over the wall into the chicken camp. This is the 5v5 fight that they're looking for. They would try and end in a normal situation, but they have no inhibitors. They have no pressure here, and they have to go back and defend their base, but I think they're going to try and grab this Elder Dragon. But Basil's still alive, so you still have to be worrisome about the smite. So Phaser right now going to be tanking up for the moment. Keeper's Verdict going to send him away, but Thrasher's dead. You have to be careful. I just realized this. I don't think Elder can go down if it's Sky Splitters because you don't have a jungler there. Basil's just going to be able to take that one away with ease. And it looks like this might just be a whole reset.
I'm not too sure if anyone can get this Elder here. Kyo's back is being stopped, but it's still Basil just trying to be so aggressive, trying to do so much. The ult from the MFs to come through. Phaser is trying to fight Sinja, but I mean, you go down, you need to put your eyes towards this Elder Dragon. And this Gwen does have TP. Keep an eye on top of it. That top lane is something they need to watch out. And Phaser is low. You did get some vision on top of Phaser, so this recontest can come through. Gwen is TPing onto the pit.
Yeah, here we go. Ronnie World took a lot of damage there over the wall, and Munchman just going straight forward here. Going to try and find the kills. Is going to put Ronnie World into the Guardian Angel, but there's the shield from Phaser. They're going to find that kill and certainly find the Elder Dragon as well, unless the steal is going to come through. The Hex Splash comes forward, and Basil almost heisted that one away, but it's going to be secured here from Sky Splitters, and they have options. They have Baron. They can push. They are 50 seconds on both Basil and Munchman still. Sinja's up in 14. They might just look for the end here, Claire. I think they can do it with the strength that they've gotten from this Elder Dragon. Mr. Miyagi has a Guardian Angel and has tools to clear this wave, but I don't know if they can, can actually clear away this wave, so it's going to be harder to knock down these towers, although there is a cannon still alive. Are they going to go for this straight up, or are they going to back off? Looks like it's going to be the play call, which could decide the outcome of this game. Into both towers goes Guilty Free Soul and goes Golden to drop the tower. Goes Sinja, goes into the backline, and actually able to assassinate Ronnie World. That is a huge pickoff right there. And now is overextended as well. They can't touch the Sivir in the backline. They're forced to retreat. They had the Elder Dragon, but they still could not outplay their opponents in the fight and cannot end the game just yet. And also, the base is being wrecked by the super minions.
Base is absolutely being destroyed. A Nexus turret actually goes down for Essence Thieves. Sky Splitter's not being able to find one Essence Thieves, and the base stays alive, it stays afloat, and it really, all things considered, isn't that much damage. It's quite a bit, don't get me wrong, but if you're Essence Thieves, you gotta be so pleased with yourself for defending that. That mid wave is still pushing in, you have to think about it, but the recontest, you still have some Elder buffs on people, but you still have 2 members down. You can't really contest it unless you want to give away your lives, and the Baron goes down. The defense is only going to get stronger for Essence Thieves, and they could maybe push for an end. It's a very interesting point in the game that we found ourselves at. You need to clear these waves, and that's just going to be a job all for Mr. Miyagi, as the CS is only going up.
And what a battle this has been from both of these teams. This is an absolute bang out of a game. We're approaching the 45-minute mark. This could very easily become a 50-minute game, which is not something you see very often in League of Legends. Usually your longest game is around 40 minutes. It's very rare you see a 50-minute bang out happen. That's exactly what we have here, and it's because both of these teams are so evenly matched when it comes to 5v5 fighting, wave clear. It's hard to stack waves and really siege against champions like Sivir. This game might go to a second Elder right now. There's still towers alive for both teams, so there really isn't any opportunity of a backdoor. And this one is just so insane. It feels like we've been here for quite the journey for both of these teams. And again, I want to remind you, this is a really big game for the standings. We talked about how close these standings are for the top 4 teams in this league, and games like this, especially because they're so close, are going to be so huge if you can find the win. Sinja looking to try and assassinate Guilty Free Soul, but gets caught up with a bunch of CC, forced to flash away with a sliver of HP, does have Guardian Angel, is going to go back in. Sinja, what are you doing? You're going to drop. You're going to go into the GA. Are they going to camp the body? Are they going to find the kill? Off rip. They are going to do so. There's going to be Ronnie with the bullet time, and the flank from Phaser comes through as well. There comes the Galio ultimate breakdown onto Mr. Miyagi's face. This may have been the blunder that will end the game here. Now Munchman's caught up in front of everybody, but that's going to be the 3rd kill of the fight. Talia forced to run away with about 10% HP. It's only Basil and the Lux left. I don't think they have enough in the tank to defend the base this time around. It's 5 versus 2, make it 5 versus 1. Basil is the only one left. I cast her curse the game, Claire. I said it could go on into a second Elder, and immediately it's Sky Splitters that find the winning angle.
It's gonna be the game. Sky Splitters just trying to get Basil, trying to get that final kill of the game, and then knock down the Nexus, and Sky Splitters securing their lead, gonna bring their standings to 5-2. Essence Thieves gonna be knocked down to 3-4, so a wild game out of both these teams. 46 minutes, almost 47 minutes there, and incredible plays from both these teams. Just that one final overextend there at the end just cost this Essence Thieves team their entire base and then their Nexus, so well played.
Wow, yeah, it was finally the moment that Sky Splitters found every member of Essence Thieves caught up in the fight and were finally able to get the push that they needed. They had enough people dead. They didn't have any side lane pressure that was pulling their attention away from the Nexus, and they were able to get it done. My goodness, 46 minutes, Claire. You and I, it's like running a marathon here, walking through a game like this. So close And Sky Splitters are going to be so very happy that they were able to pick up that win. And so that will conclude this very action-packed week here at Odyssey. Those will be the conclusion of those two games. Sky Splitters taking the win, Oran's OnlyFans taking the win as well. And that just makes it all the closer in the standings now, as we do see SNC drop to 3 and 4, Oran's OnlyFans to 3 and 3. So we're gonna sign off here now for the night after some pretty amazing matches. I do want to give a shout out to Druber on the production, also the addition of the chat as well. We do see the Wcasters in the chat. Thank you very much. We're glad you enjoyed the casts. And thank you to everyone who is watching. Shout out to everyone at the watch party. We appreciate you guys, and we hope you enjoyed the games as much as we did. And we will see you in the next week. Have a good one.